What's going on, guys? JSGC 171, and it's that time again. We've put out our League 2, League 1 and Championship table prediction. The season's got underway. Some surprising results, some not so surprising results. So we'll see how they get along throughout the season. I apologise to any fans of any clubs or any clubs out there that are watching my videos that don't agree with what I'm saying. Just leave in the comments what you think. You don't have to be nasty about it. Please don't be nasty about it. I'm not doing it with any malice whatsoever. I'm not being cruel. I'm not being mean. I'm not saying I don't like your club. I'm just saying my honest opinion onto it. You disagree. Leave in the comments what you think, and we can have a nice footballing discussion, because I like football, okay? So we'll start with the Premier League. So, in 20th, I've got Huddersfield. Sorry, Huddersfield fans. I think they're going to certainly really improve their squad. I think they're more than capable of competing at a championship level, certainly if they do end up getting relegated. I think they'll be difficult to beat this season. We saw them when Man City played them in the FA Cup last season. They managed to hold their own and get a 0-0 draw and get the match back from the John Smith Stadium back to the Etihad Stadium. So I think they'll hold their own, but I think they're going to get relegated. And 19th, I've got Stoke. Again, I'm not being cruel to Stoke fans. It might seem like I am, particularly with my transfer updates that I did on the Premier League a few weeks back. I'm not being cruel. I'm just not impressed with the signings. They're starting to sell some of the players, and they've got all the signs there that they need to really improve. I'm not a real fan of Mark Hughes' management. I think if the Stoke could improve on him and be rid of him, particularly if they get off to a bad start, I'd be rid of Mark Hughes. And I feel like everything relies on what they do in this transfer market for the next coming 3 weeks and what they do in the January transfer market. I think they're a decent sized club. I think they're a solid Premier League club. But if they don't improve on everything, then they've got all the signs there that they're not going to do particularly well this season. And the same for Swansea, who I've got in 18th. Again, I'm not particularly impressed with who they're bringing in. They're contemplating, selling Gylfi Sigurdsson for 50 million. If they pocket that 50 million pounds, I think it's going to be a disgrace. They need to invest that 50 million pound into the squad and establish themselves as a comfortable mid-table Premier League side, and then build from there. 17th, I've got Burnley. I think Burnley, again, are going to struggle this season. Second season syndrome. I don't really like using that term. But Burnley, very solid defensively. I think they've got enough about their defence to maybe stay up. They're going to miss Michael Keane. But I cannot say until the Premier League gets going, really, that I can really give a good analysis of where teams are at and what they're going to be doing. But I predict that Burnley will stay up, and I'm sure, in fact, that any club that's predicted that wants to survive in the Premier League may well, anyone that stays in 17th will be more than happy 17th and higher. In 16th, I've got Crystal Palace. I mean, Crystal Palace do what Crystal Palace do, which is stay up. So I think they're going to stay up. 15th, I've got Bournemouth. I like Eddie Howe. I think he plays good football. And Bournemouth really holding their own in the Premier League. I think they'll do it again this season. I think 15th is a little bit low for where they might want to be, but for the size and the stature of the club, I think that's fantastic for them. So 15th for them. In 14th, I've got Watford. I think Watford's a dark horse to be relegated if they don't really improve on their side. They go through managers like anybody's business, particularly over the last year or so. So they need some stability, otherwise they may well go down. I'm going for them to turn the fortunes round and finish 14th. No particular reason why, I'm just putting them there. I mean, Watford could easily be finishing 18th and I can move all the clubs up one, really. But I'll go for 14th for Watford. Why not? 13th, I've got Brighton. I like Brighton. I think Brighton's got a good squad there. It'll be interesting to see how that squad, who's doing fantastic last season, will do in the Premier League this season. I think they'll take the momentum into the Premier League, and I'm anticipating that they really might have a shock or two about them. It's not easy going down to the South Coast. Teams struggle going down to Bournemouth and Southampton, and Brighton now getting added to that list. And they've obviously got a nice size stadium, which are probably going to sell out every week. So that makes for an anticipated difficult match for all Premier League clubs like Burnley. And I don't think Burnley's going to go down. I think Brighton's going to use their momentum. I don't think they're going to go down either. In 12th, I've got West Ham. I think West Ham could do better, really. I think they've signed some good players, sold them good players, and brought in some mediocre players. Be interested to see how Arnautovic does at West Ham. I think he's a decent signing, but I still think that the snake, Dimitri Payet, is a lot better player than him. I think he's a lot better than Snodgrass. So they've gone from having good players to not having such good players to having, like, okay players. Mid-table, 12th. 11th, I've got West Brom. I think West Brom do what West Brom do, which is stay up comfortably, and then stop caring once they've stayed up, so which sees them in mid-table. In 10th, I got Leicester. Now, I really don't know where Leicester's going to end up. They could be down there, they could be up there, they could be in mid-table. They play the right style of football for them to certainly be troubling the top 6 sides if they want to. But we all know that when they're winning the Premier League is an incredibly fantastic achievement. That to ask for them to do that again is just, you know, a lot of pressure to put onto the side. But they've still managed to keep hold of a lot of them players. They've missed Kante, obviously, last season. But they still had a decent season for what Leicester are actually wanting, and Leicester will be more than happy, I'm sure, the board to finish 17th and stay up. So 10th for them, mid-table, solid season. 9th I've got Newcastle. No particular reason why. I just think that Newcastle did manage to pick up kind of some momentum for the Championship last season. They've obviously not had as good a season as what they was hoping in the Championship, but they still got promoted, so job done there. I think Rafa Benitez is an awesome manager, and I'm tipping Rafa Benitez to really turn Newcastle around, not down, and send them sailing up the league. So I'm putting them in 9th, and in 8th I've got Southampton. I think Southampton, in my opinion, bar the top 6, and obviously Everton, who are a fantastic side, making some great signings and really trying to push the top 6 all the way. I think Southampton are like, you got the top 6 here, then you have Everton, who are trying to break there, and then just below them you got Southampton trying to break there. Then you have like a gap then in quality, and I think Southampton make up an 8th, so I'm going for them in 8th. Everton, I've already said, in 7th. I think the additions to players like Jordan Pickford, I think the signings that they've made are absolutely fantastic. Spent over the odds, perhaps you could suggest. However, they've needed to make them signings. They're good players. And then Everton do like making players who have not been so good into good players. They just need to properly replace Lukaku. So it'll be interesting to see over the next coming weeks if they end up strengthening in the areas, particularly if Ross Barkley leaves as well. In 6th, I've got Tottenham. I think they're going to struggle at Wembley. Seen them struggle in the Champions League. I think they're going to struggle this season. They've not got White Hart Lane there. They're going to have, in my opinion, a lot of tourist fans there, so the atmosphere won't be as hostile as what it is at White Hart Lane. The pitch is big, not narrow. They want to play counter-attacking, pressing football. We saw how Tottenham in pre-season struggled. You can't go anything in pre-season, but they struggled against Man City trying to do the press on such a big pitch. They're going to play it at Wembley. They struggled to do their press because the pitch is so big, they'll get tired. So if Tottenham don't score early on and put the pressure on, I think teams will settle into the game, particularly the teams at the top, they'll struggle against. And you need the results at the top to be finishing, obviously, in the high positions. In 5th, I've got Arsenal. Really does depend on how, if Alexis Sanchez ends up staying, which you cannot guarantee in the next 3 weeks. If Alexis Sanchez stays, I think they'll break the top 4. I think they'll finish 3rd or 4th. If he leaves, then 5th. Particularly if they don't end up signing Lamar of Monaco, who's been linked with teams around Europe like Monaco and that, with Barcelona and that. In 4th, I've got Liverpool. Now, Liverpool's made a solid addition in Salah. They've not really improved in defence, so we'll see if they've learnt the lessons or not. I'm going for them to finish 4th again, like they did last season. I think they're stabilising themselves. I think it'll be good for Liverpool if they can do well in the Champions League this season coming up. Hopefully, I'm sure Liverpool fans, hopefully anyway, will be wanting them to do well. I think 4th's actually a good season. I think if minimum aim for all these top sides in the top 6 will be wanting his 4th place. So if you get 4th, you've kind of done your job at least. In 3rd, I've got Manchester United. Now, with Man United, I feel like they're making a sideways steps with their signings. Please don't feel like that's a criticism of Man United. I think you've replaced Ibrahimovic well with Lukaku. You spent a lot of money on Lukaku. I'm asking myself, is Lukaku a huge improvement on Ibrahimovic? Is Lukaku a big improvement? In my opinion, not really. He's better than him, but not hugely better than him. I don't think he's going to really improve Manchester United that much. I feel like they're strengthening areas where they could do with, well, it don't really need much strengthening, really. They could do with in strengthening in other areas, such as what's going to happen if players like Antonio Valencia get injured and stuff like that, who, I will add, isn't actually a full-blown right-back. He's done well for Man United, but he's not a right-back. Areas of weakness that I'm sure teams will exploit. I think one of the areas of strength that they've strengthened really well is centre-back, but they still seem to lack them numbers when Phil Jones is still getting towards the side. Problems. Second, I've got Man City. I think Man City have strengthened in the right areas. They've spent a lot of money on the defence, and it's been much needed. To go from slow players like Zabaleta and Sanya to go through to Danilo and Kyle Walker is a huge improvement. They spent a lot of money, so they've improved in the right areas. I think Man City just lack that little bit of quality in one or two areas to really, finish first. I think they lack a number out wide. I think Sane, Sterling, Aguero, Jesus are really good players, and that sounds like it should be enough quality. I think they just lack that one number of a player that can cut inside and use a lot of skill to really, win a game for Man City. Someone like Alexis Sanchez filling that void would really, really set them up there, and that would see them really challenge for first. And I also feel like a lot of the season relies on Vincent Kompany. Again, we've been saying this for the last 5 years. Again, they've not signed centre-backs. So we've got Mangala still there, who's not been sold. We've still got Denayer that's not been sold, it's still there. Are they going to be using them? I don't know. But because they're still there, they've not really got decent cover for Vincent Kompany. So if he gets injured and ends up getting injured for any serious amount of time, I think Man City are going to struggle in defence, because that obviously is their area of weakness. They like to press and play a high line, so you need your centre-backs to be switched on at all times. So it's a big season for players like Otamendi and John Stones. They really need to show their intelligence here, and it's a big season for players like Yaya and Fernandinho, whose legs seem to be declining season after season. So if they, is that areas that Man City can maybe improve on in January or in the next 3 weeks? Perhaps keep an eye on that. And first I've got Chelsea, because I think Chelsea's still got the best squad. They may well have lost the Community Shield to Arsenal, but I still think Chelsea, if they can keep hold of the players like Hazard, then they're going to win the Premier League again this season. I think Antonio Conte has everything nailed on. They're looking to try and sign Sandro, strengthen their defence, and if you've got an organised defence, then you're always at a plus in the Premier League. But any of them 6 sides really in the top 6 can win the Premier League next season, and in my opinion, the team that exits Europe early on stands the best chance of winning. So perhaps Liverpool, who are going to be seeded lower than pot 1 or 2, so they're going to find themselves in probably a difficult group if the draw doesn't go their way in the Champions League. Might think about, if they can't hold their own, of going out finishing 4th rather than 3rd and going into the Europa League and dragging their season on to February, March time. Arsenal, Wenger said he's not really taking the Europa League that seriously this season. He's not going to take it that serious this season. Then perhaps Arsenal may well be up there if they can keep hold of their players. Chelsea are going to struggle, and Man City are going to struggle, and Man United are going to struggle in the Champions League. We'll have to see. They've obviously got seeds 1 and 2 in their favour. And also, could Everton do anything? Could Southampton, Everton, Leicester, Newcastle, could they do anything in the Premier League and surprise everyone once again? We'll have to see. Fascinating season. So that's going to be my Premier League prediction for you. I'm also going to do something that I've not done yet, which is I'm also going to predict the competitions. So I've got the League Cup, who I think Man City are going to win. I say that because I think Pep Guardiola really does need to win a trophy this season. I think he'll take the League Cup very seriously. Last season he put out a reserve side when he got a difficult draw against Man United. I don't think he'll do that this season. They've got more squad depth there, and I think he's going to try and win that. For the FA Cup, I'm going to go for Arsenal, because Arsenal just like winning the FA Cup. I think they're going to chuck the Europa League. I think they're going to chuck the League Cup. I think they're going to focus just on the Premier League and focus on the FA Cup if things aren't going too well in the Premier League. You can easily launch an assault on 2 trophies in a season. 4, a lot different and a lot more difficult. Europa League, I'm going to go for AC Milan, because AC Milan have really strengthened in their side. I'm impressed with their signings, players like Ricardo Rodriguez. They're starting to go from here, jumping up to here, and hopefully their fans are probably hoping to finish in the top 3 and get in the Champions League for next season. I think keeping hold of Donnarumma is a fantastic piece of business, getting him on a new contract as well. And they've got new ownership as well, so we'll have to see how AC and Inter under new ownership do next season. So it's interesting. I'm going for AC to win it. And in the Champions League, even though they've lost Neymar, I'm going to go for Barcelona, because they always recover. And to be honest with you, Real Madrid have won it too many times now over the last few years. Atletico do what Atletico do, but Barcelona's not won it in a little while, so I'm still going for it to stay in Spain, because I still think for another 2 or 3 seasons they've got the strongest sides. That will change as soon as Messi and Ronaldo start showing signs of age, which they can't go on forever. That will come in the next 2 or 3 seasons. When that does come, I think the sides will catch them up. Teams like PSG, Bayern Munich, Juventus, AC, Inter, Man City, Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, all them will catch them up, and the gap will become a lot more similar and be very, very competitive. There's my predictions. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know of your predictions as well. Who you think is going to finish where in the Premier League? Who's going to win the League Cup, FA Cup, Europa League and Champions League? Hope you all liked the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new around here. And I will see you later. Hope you all have a nice day. It's been JSGC 171. Peace. Ciao for now.